Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for our dearly departed Premier League preview. It is match day. It is 7:58 in the morning. Sorry, Fridays are getting very busy, so this show seems to be moving into Saturday morning. Hope that's all good with everybody. But let's get it done because match day will be live in about 4 hours. The football will begin for this Saturday. And as ever, we're going to look at each of the games for the dearly departed, the teams that I covered in the Championship that we still look at now. In the Premier League, some of them halfway up, some of them in the bottom three. Pretty even split in that regard. We're looking at Villa, Sheffield United, Leeds, West Brom, and Fulham. We're going to look at each of their games for round 24. Before we do that, let's just say thank you to Jay Coyle, dearly departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us. Jay is our fan sponsor for the dearly departed previews and reviews, etc. Great supporter of the channel. Thank you, Jay, for your support. You too can get involved over on Patreon if you do want to support what we're doing over here. Here's the fixtures. We've got, as ever, the dearly departed games with the blue bells next to them. Leicester versus Liverpool is the 12:30 today in the Premier League. Palace, Burnley, and then Manchester City, Tottenham at 5:30. So no 3 p.m.s for us to look at in the Saturday Super Stream today as it pertains to the dearly departed. But 8 p.m. tonight, Brighton versus Aston Villa. And then we go into Sunday, Southampton, Wolves. And then 4 in a row, all of the remaining Sunday games. And the first Monday night game are all dearly departed games. West Brom, Manchester United at 2 on Sunday. Arsenal, Leeds at 4:30 on Sunday. Everton and Fulham, 7 p.m. And West Ham, Sheffield United then the next day, Monday night at 6 p.m. We have Chelsea versus Newcastle as the remaining game. As ever, we're going to look at each one of these fixtures. We'll go from the highest ranked team down to the lowest. Let's do this. Brighton versus Aston Villa. Didn't play so long ago, did they? And it was that disappointing 1-0 home defeat for Villa when we were looking at it and thinking, right, Villa have established where they are in the hierarchy. Brighton at that point were struggling, certainly far more so than they are now. They've really picked up. So not a good time really for Villa to be playing them. But Villa not looking bad themselves. The table tells us Villa in 9th, bit spotty, win, lose, win, lose, win at the moment. Obviously, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that if that streak continues, they're going to be losing this one. So maybe we'll park that one with our dearly departed hats on. Brighton, as I mentioned, in good form. Look at that last 7. Draws against Wolves and Fulham and Burnley. Wins against Liverpool, Tottenham and Leeds. Only the one defeat against Manchester City. Everybody are losing against Manchester City at the moment. Villa, nice and steady and solid. Obviously, they lost to West Ham. That was a little bit different than the defeat against Burnley, where it was one of those we could make an excuse for. I think West Ham just did a number on them, didn't they? Whereas Burnley, Villa really should have got 1 or 3 points out of that game. Otherwise, though, good victories there against Newcastle, battened down the hatches at Southampton, and then got ahead early against Arsenal, clean sheet in that. Interestingly enough, clean sheets in all of the victories, and look at Brighton's results there. 1-1, 0-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-1. So in Brighton's last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Brighton have only conceded the 1 goal. Nicely formed team for Villa. Now lots of stories linking Tyrone Mings with Manchester United yesterday. I'm sure his agent will be pleased to be reading those Martinez, Cash, Cons and Mings target last time out. Nakamba in for Douglas Luiz. We'll see if Douglas Luiz comes back. They kept the clean sheet and won with that double pivot. Grealish, Barkley, Traore. Well, we've seen El Ghazi, haven't we? Front right. And we've also seen Trezeguet. Watkins, decent total now. I think in all competitions, Ollie Watkins has 12 goals in his first season in the Premier League. Difficult one to call. Let me have a sip of my coffee. My prediction fuel. This is not going to be easy, is it? Brighton in good form, in tight form, and in terms of defensively. And look how they've moved up to 15th there. Newcastle and Burnley now behind them. 10 points clear of relegation and looking good for another season in the Premier League as it stands. I think both teams know how to defend. One of them could snatch it 1-0, couldn't they? I think Villa have definitely got more firepower in terms of Grealish, Barkley and Watkins particularly. You would give Villa the edge on that. Organisation? Well, not much in it between Smith and Potter. We've been fans of both covering the Championship with Swansea and Brentford and obviously Villa down there. I think we can just go with Villa. There's an argument that Villa can edge this one by the single goal given the league position and the firepower. So let's get it out. Let's put my dearly departed hat on and we're going to do it. Aston Villa, let's predict them a low scoring, maybe a 1-0 away win at Brighton. Although don't be surprised if it's 1-1 or 0-0. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Arsenal versus Leeds. Now, when I used to cover Leeds in the Championship, obviously living where I live, I would often see them in London. I'd check out the fixtures and Leeds were always good to cover. Always brought loads of fans down and always had a kind of a big game feel. But then we started to notice a pattern and I'll try and remember the games. I was at QPR. I saw them lose twice at QPR. I saw them lose at Fulham, Leeds. I saw them lose at Charlton. I saw them lose at Millwall. In fact, I probably did all of Leeds' London games. And I used to get tired with this. Oh, Ben, stop going to Leeds games. You're a curse. And it's like, no, I'm not. So now the stadiums are closed and I'm not there. It's the London curse for Leeds. And I don't know how many games or how long this goes for. But all I'm hearing this weekend from my Leeds friends is, let's end the London curse. And here it is, a chance to do so against Arsenal. It's a bit difficult for us to get our heads around here, because if you're a football fan of my vintage, when you look at Arsenal and Arsenal playing a home game in the Premier League, for the longest time, Arsenal don't play a home game that they're not essentially favourites to win. Maybe if they're playing Manchester United under Ferguson or Chelsea under Mourinho or etc. But we're now in a point where it's, you know, if you are Leeds and you're in the middle of the table, Arsenal is a bit of a different status in the hierarchy. I'm sure, you know, huge club, they'll get back up to where they used to be. But certainly for someone like a Leeds who's just come into the Premier League, feels a bit more like level pegging. Obviously, Arsenal will have huge, certainly national fan base and worldwide and commercial revenues and things of that nature. But on pitch, not much in it and very little in it. In fact, Leeds 32 points, Arsenal 31. Leeds having played one game fewer. The recent form for Arsenal has 2 defeats and a 0-0 draw against Manchester United. Prior to that, the form's good. Look, you see 10 points in 4 games. However, lost at one of our dearly departed last time out, didn't they, in the game against Villa? In fact, Villa doubled the Gunners. Leeds' form at the moment is good. It's very good, actually. 3 wins in 4, but they've done that back-to-back. So 3 wins in 4 twice gives us, I think they've got 16 points. And there must be a draw in there somewhere. They've got 16 points in 8 games, Leeds. So a nice 2 points per game run. Could be wrong about that. Someone check me in. I think that's what we were reporting last week. A week's a long time, isn't it? But Leeds are in good form, and despite Obviously, that big Manchester United defeat in there and the disappointing one against Brighton. They've come back well and definitely 2 periods of good form. Maybe they don't have 2 points per game. Pass on that one. But certainly the wins are coming recently. And up they go into the top half of the table, looking in a really, really nice position. Big picture. And I don't suspect we'll see much change there. Not sure on Calvin Phillips. He limped out, didn't he, last time out against Crystal Palace in the win on Monday. It was right at the end of the game, wasn't it? We're not expecting anything on Koch or Cooper. It would only be Phillips that was the doubt, and Rodrigo returning. So that's the picture really for Leeds. Otherwise, everything nicely settled. Rafinha playing really well. Harrison playing really well. Bamford. Back four is stable, but they would rather Koch or Llorente, one of the new signings, was in there to help out. Struijk seems to have been thrown in at the deep end. So we'll see what pans out. The worst case scenario is that Phillips and Rodrigo aren't ready, in which case Shackleton, you'd think, would come in to that sort of 3 central midfielders. The best case scenario is Phillips is fit, Rodrigo can come back, but you know what Bielsa's like with stable team selection. You probably just stick him on the bench anyway and go with the team that won. Can Leeds break the London Hoodoo? I suspect they can. Decent chance, isn't it? You wouldn't say the best chance. You'd say, given where Fulham are in the division, that there is a lower ranked London team to go against. That game's still to come, isn't it? It was early in the season at 4-3. But let's put it back on. Stick my dearly departed hat on, which seems to be like a massive baseball cap that comes out to about here. I think they can do it. I really do. I think still a couple of suspensions hung over from that Wolves game as well. And I think there's a couple of injury issues that were announced yesterday. I saw the Leeds Twitter was pretty happy. Obviously, we don't see anybody hurt, but they want to see this London not winning winless streak. Okay, so I think they can do it. I genuinely do today, given all of those factors and the good form they're in. So, without any sense of bias towards my beloved dearly departed, I'm going to say it. I've already said it on Villa, away win. We're going to say Leeds, away win at Arsenal. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, let's head down into our bottom 3. Feels like we're just dealing with these dearly departed. There's just a split now where we're very optimistic about Leeds and Villa, halfway up the table, 9th and 10th, and then we have our bottom 3 and they're just way adrift. Now, really bad news in recent weeks. Burnley kicked on ahead of Brighton, essentially, sort of 5 or 6, 7 game weeks ago. And Brighton, over those last, look at those last 5 games for Brighton, and got 11 points and stonked clear, because in that time, Fulham have got 3 points. So the gap to Brighton is 10 points. The gap to Newcastle is 10. The gap to Burnley is 8. And we have 16 games to go. So it's starting to look a very tall order. Fulham just, any of those bottom 3 just haven't put the wins on the board. We'll focus in on Fulham, obviously, first and foremost. And the goals drying up as well for the Cottagers. Not able to score in 3 of their last 4 games. Big games as well, especially that one against Brighton. Did score at West Brom, but didn't get the win. And that's been the story of the season, really, isn't it? They didn't get the win. I've sat here until I'm blue in the face saying, okay, nice job, develop new team, develop new system. And the wins just haven't come, have they? Just the 2 wins, and we can say it was home to West Brom and away to Leicester, and we must be on a 10 or 12 game streak. Maybe it's not that long, but it feels like ages since Fulham won. Last time out, it's a creditable draw, but it really does feel meaningless, doesn't it? They need wins, and drawing against West Ham, obviously, everything a little bit overshadowed with that Souček red card, which was overturned. But look, that was late in the game. It had no bearing on the result. So I have a swig of my drink. Fulham played all right in that game. Decent possession, decent shot count, not many on target. It's one of those where, you have some statistics and you shrug your shoulders and say, okay, at 20 shots, but only two of them were on target, and maybe your opponents have 7 and 3 of them are on target, and it's like you do the math. Looks like they've gone to a back 4 in the last game with Tete, Anderson, Adrabio and Robinson. We'd seen 3 at the back with Iain in there as well. Cavaliero used over Mitrovic as a starter. Again, on paper, the team makes a lot of sense. They just don't have either the winning formula or the winning balance yet. Let's talk about their opponents, who are Everton, and they've got to go away to Everton as well. Everton have recently won at Leeds and at Wolves. In the remaining games, they've lost at home to West Ham and Newcastle. So that is a big flag for Fulham, that West Ham and Newcastle have gone there and won. Did have that breathless 3-3 draw over Manchester United, and they drew with Leicester. So, bit strange, those results. It's almost like they've beaten the middle to lower quartile teams, they've lost to the bottom quartile teams, and then they've done well against the top teams. It's almost like they prefer playing underdog here. But look, they've got a collection now, as most top 8 Premier League teams have, of a very expensive squad with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin and James Rodriguez. Sigurdsson seems to have come more into the team recently. Got a lot of quality. I mean, we can cross our fingers and hope for a Newcastle or West Ham solution. But you know full well that Steve Bruce and David Moyes would have gone there and set it out nice and pragmatic, and Scott Parker won't do that. I'm going to cross my fingers and predict a draw, because I don't want to see Fulham lose. Obviously, I'm supposed to be leaving my bias at the door here, aren't I? I think they can get a draw on the basis of those recent results. However, it's not going to be much use, and the more games go by without the wins, and all it takes is for the odd Newcastle win, the odd Burnley win, the odd Brighton win, and it's looking sadly like we could be done potentially for the bottom 3 with 3 games to go, the way it's playing out now, which is a thoroughly undesirable situation for Fulham and the dearly departed. Let's predict that they're going to get a draw, and we'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think in the comments. 2 to go. West Brom versus Manchester United. We're going to be covering West Brom versus Manchester United in our new I Have Just Witnessed or Classic Reviews show on Monday. Looking forward to that. Obviously, that game was in 1978, the one we're going to look at. This one is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think they're all tomorrow, other than Villa and Brighton this weekend, if I've remembered that correctly. So, where are we with West Brom now? Well, we're still 19th, so that hasn't changed since Big Sam's been there. What has changed is that Brighton have moved away, and they're 11 points adrift of safety. Fulham 8 points adrift, West Brom 11 adrift, and there's some sense that Sheffield United below them have been coming for them, and the way things are trending, could be on for bottom at the moment, West Brom, which would be very un-Allardyce-like. But hey, look at the last 5 games in there. 4 defeats and 1 draw in there against rivals Fulham, where just the bottom 3 can't win games, so it's inevitable that they're going to draw against each other. Even though we will give Fulham credit, they did win the reverse game earlier in the season, didn't they? That's what Big Sam went with at Spurs, which obviously is a difficult away game. Johnston, Townsend, Bartley, Ajayi, Peltier starting at right back over Furlong. Now Sawyer's back in. Gallagher, Maitland, Niles, Snodgrass, Grant, Diagne. Kind of makes sense on paper, doesn't it? sit in like that. You've got a bit of ball retention with Sawyers. You've got legs and ability to break with Maitland-Niles and Gallagher. Grant, maybe he's your finisher if you can get him forward, but he does his defending as well. Snodgrass has got quality and experience. Diania is going to be your muscle up front to hold the ball when you do get out. They just got to execute now. And that's the thing, is that Allardyce is banging on about clean sheets and sitting in and getting your zeros against and working on that as a base. But they can't keep any clean sheets. That's the issue. I don't think they've had a single one under Allardyce. Even the win they got was a 3-2 win, which is not viable at all. And in every other game they've been conceding. So when you then consider who they're up against here, Manchester United, well, they're 5 points adrift now, given Manchester City's run. But just talking about the attacking quality, lots of people think that Cavani should start and then reel them off. Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood, Pogba, Martial, and I'm probably missing someone. Anyway, just so much quality at the top end of the pitch there. Do you really see another clean sheet? No. And if they don't keep a clean sheet, do you see them winning? No. It's a difficult one. Manchester United's form's dropped off, hasn't it? Dropped points in 4 of the last 6 games, whilst Manchester City been winning the whole time. And 93rd minute equaliser in the last game to stop them getting their 3 points. Hence that 5 point gap, which makes Manchester City look like hot favourites. And speaking of hot favourites, it's very, very hard for me to predict anything other than the Manchester United win. Coupled with the fact that under Allardyce, West Brom have just been so bad at the Hawthorns. Not bad like, they haven't been picking up points. Bad like they've been getting hammered in a lot of those games. You can see the 5-0 in there. Drew with Fulham in the last one. But then there's, I think if we were to scroll down, there's like a 4-0, a 4-0, another 5-0 and a 3-0. I think we'll give them a pass on the Villa game because there was a red card in that one. But yeah, they've just been rank at home, haven't they? So apologies to Baggies. We love covering you, but I'm going away win in this one to Manchester United. Get your thoughts in the comments. West Ham versus Sheffield United is our last one. And if anyone has given us hope recently, down at the bottom, it has been Sheffield United. We sort of said going into the FA Cup games, right, I wonder, can they use the FA Cup as a sort of kickstart, let's say, for, getting some Premier League wins? And they have, because they went down to, where did they go? Bristol Rovers, and got a win, didn't they? And they've actually won the other 2 FA Cup games as well against Plymouth, was it? I can't remember. Plymouth and Bristol City the other night. So look, they've not had to play any Premier League teams, but you couple that with the Premier League wins they have. We've actually got 6 wins in 9 now. So Chris Wilder has played that quite well. There has still been recent defeats there since the first win came against Newcastle. But those defeats have been against Spurs, Man City and Chelsea. So you have a position now where Sheffield United, since winning some FA Cup games, etc., have become a little bit more viable against teams toward, I think Manchester United, to be fair to them, and also Newcastle and West Brom. So they've beaten the 2 games against their rivals. They've managed to get wins. But West Ham is a different matter, isn't it? And yes, Fulham did get the draw against West Ham. So we now are not looking at the potential 10 for 10, because West Ham had won all 6 games against the dearly departed. Absolutely dominated our dearly departed teams, David Moyes. But thankfully, Fulham broke that stretch there. For some reason, I've put the West Ham team up and not the Sheffield United team. But I think I did that last week as well. I think when I'm making the slideshow, it's just my brain's gone by the time I get down to Sheffield United. I can probably walk you through, because it's been Ramsdale, Egan, Ampadu sort of at left wing back with Basham. They've had problems left centre back. Had problems at wing back, haven't they? With Bogle having to play down the left. I think it'll be Bogle and Lowe because we're just not seeing Baldock and Stevens fit at the moment. Berger's not there, so it'll be likely Lundstrom, Norwood, and Fleck. And then up top, I think McBurney and Burke are the Premier League starters, aren't they? With Sharp and McGoldrick and Brewster there in reserve. I think he'd rather have reserve wing-backs at the moment, given that he's having to play... Well, he's got 2 reserve wing-backs from... You know what I'm saying, don't you? It feels like he's got 5 fit players in one slot and loads of injuries in another. The question is, can Sheffield United go with a viable performance down at West Ham? And it depends where you class West Ham in the hierarchy. Do you class them with a Chelsea or a Tottenham or a Manchester City? Was it Manchester City who they'd also lost to? Yeah. Do you class them in with those? I guess given they're 6th and they're very efficient and they've got that kind of mix of physicality, organisation, and then pace with Bowen and power with Antonio and trickery with Ben Rama. At the top end, I suppose you would have to. So it's a tricky one for me to predict a win for Sheffield United. Perhaps we could go for a draw in this one, and I'll confess my bias. They've not been drawing, have they? Only 2 draws all season. A draw would, given West Brom's absolutely heinous defeats at home recently, a draw would take them off the bottom as well. It's an optimistic request because they could well lose this one, could they? And West Ham have punished weaker teams this season. And Sheffield United, statistically being bottom of the league, are obviously the weakest team in the league. Let's go for a draw. West Ham are very hard opponents, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them win either. Kind of giving you 2 predictions at once. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's our show. Thank you again to Jay Coyle, dearly departed, also known as Ben Couldn't Bear to Lose Us. Get involved over on Patreon. Lots of new stuff on Patreon at the moment. That is our dearly departed Premier League predictions. In terms of dearly departed, it's a tricky one this week because we'd have to do the review show on Tuesday, given how late. I can't remember who the last game is to play, but they've not all played until Tuesday morning would be the time to do the review. So what we'll do is if there's any big stories, particularly say in the Villa game, I'll cover it in isolation on Sunday morning, or obviously it's Valentine's Day on Sunday, so I won't be working on Sunday night, but we could cover Leeds early on Monday morning, or Fulham. I think there is one left on Monday night, isn't there? So, yeah, we will wait and keep our powder dry. But if anything big develops, we'll cover it as we go. And as I said, no one in the Super Stream this afternoon as well. So, coverage as and when it kind of is needed this weekend on the Dearly Departed. Thank you everybody for watching, and it's a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.